we are also seeing the regime, the suppressive apparatus, still operating in, although a very ruthless way, but being a little bit more cautious than before, because the reality is they are scared of Trump. They are scared of President Donald Trump. Now, President Trump's issued this warning that if they kill protesters on the streets, the US will intervene. They are currently killing protesters on the streets. So enforcing that message through practical action is more important, more so than ever before.
US President Donald Trump has claimed that Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, is looking to flee the country as protests are continuing to erupt. Thousands of people took to the streets to express their anger over the economic collapse on Friday night during an internet blackout. There are reports that at least 62 people have been killed since the demonstration began back on the 28th of December. Here's the president speaking at a meeting with the US oil executives yesterday at the White House.
It looks to me that the people are taking over certain cities that nobody thought were really possible just a few weeks ago. We're watching the situation very carefully. I've made the statement very strongly that if they start killing people like they have in the past, we will get involved. We'll be hitting them very hard where it hurts. And that doesn't mean boots on the ground, but it means hitting them very, very hard where it hurts. So we don't want that to happen. There have been cases like this where President Obama totally backed down. But this is something pretty incredible that's happening in Iran. It's an amazing thing to watch. They've done a bad job. They've treated their people very badly, and now they're being paid back. So let's see what happens. We're watching it. We're watching it very closely.
Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer has urged in a joint statement with France and Germany that the Iranian regime to allow freedom of expression and peaceful assembly without fear of reprisals. Well, let's welcome to the show Kasra Aarabi, Director of the IRGC Research at United Against Nuclear Iran, former Iran head at the Tony Blair Institute. Kasra, thank you for giving us your time. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
How crucial are the next few days, even hours, going to be?
Extremely crucial. The regime, the Islamist regime, is escalating its violence on the streets. Unarmed civilians are now being shot at with live rounds. The death toll we are hearing is now surpassing 1,000, and thousands more have been detained. Now, the internet has also been shut down to censor the bloodshed and cut the Iranian people from the outside world. And despite this, the brave, heroic men and women in Iran are taking to the streets in their millions, scenes that really we have not seen before in Iran since arguably the 1979 revolution. So what is happening right now, these next few hours, these next few days are critical. President Donald Trump's warning to the Ayatollah is critical. If the regime continues to kill people on the streets, the US will intervene, he has said. It's more so than ever, more important than ever before that this happens, because unless that happens, this bloodshed will get very, very horrific and the regime will continue killing Iranians on the streets.
Do you think that Donald Trump's comments have played a big difference? We have seen uprisings before, but they have been quashed by the governments in recent years. Do you think that this time it's different because of those comments by Trump?
Absolutely. This has an impact both on the streets. We're hearing Iranians take to the streets in their millions, chanting Donald Trump's name. We are also seeing the regime, the suppressive apparatus, still operating in, although a very ruthless way, but being a little bit more cautious than before, because the reality is they are scared of Trump. They are scared of President Donald Trump. Now, President Trump's issued this warning that if they kill protesters on the streets, the US will intervene. They are currently killing protesters on the streets. So enforcing that message through practical action is more important, more so than ever before. Because, as I said, unless that happens, unless you shift the balance of power between the unarmed civilians and the ruthless, radicalized and fully armed suppressive apparatus, the bloodshed will continue. This regime won't stop. This regime is radicalized and armed to its teeth. And it's firing live rounds at unarmed civilians. Documents that myself and Dr. Saeed Golkar have acquired from inside the IRGC's suppressive apparatus reveals the instructions given to the IRGC's Imam Ali battalions: deploy on rooftops with snipers and shoot and target protest leaders. And we're seeing this. We're seeing this in live time, in real time on the streets in Iran.
Now, you heard from that clip from President Trump that any sort of intervention is not going to involve boots on the ground. So in your view, Kasra, what could an intervention by the US look like?
And that's absolutely the right message. There is no need for boots on the ground. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei has developed and invested in a huge infrastructure, a huge suppressive infrastructure. There are key suppressive headquarters, sub-headquarters, key suppressive units that can be targeted through airstrikes by the United States or its allies, including Israel. If that were to happen, that would significantly weaken the capabilities of the suppressive apparatus, but also the willingness to go on the streets and kill protesters. The regime needs to know that there will be consequences for the bloodshed. And President Trump rightly highlighted in 2009, when the Iranian people took to the streets, they called on President Obama to support them. They called on President Obama to support them against the violence of the regime. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. Now, President Trump has taken a different message, has been very clear. If the protesters are fired at, the US will intervene through airstrikes. Now, that needs to happen because, as I said, the bloodshed is taking place on the streets, and we're seeing live rounds now being fired at unarmed civilians.
Kasra, another hint the president has dropped is that the Ayatollah may be looking to flee. What reports have you heard from your sources?
I don't see any evidence right now for the Ayatollah looking to flee. He is an 86-year-old aging cleric who has held totalitarian power for more than 3 decades. Khamenei's tool to preserve power has, for the past 3 decades, been violence and suppression. The only pillar the regime has is through suppression. And we've seen, by the way, how the regime crushes protests, not just in Iran, but we saw in Syria, 12 years, the regime assisted the Assad regime to ruthlessly kill unarmed civilians. Khamenei will likely apply the same tactics he's used before. I mean, he is already doing that. I can't see Khamenei fleeing. Now, if Khamenei were to be eliminated, for example, because of the deeply personalistic nature of this regime, he has installed a cult of personality across every branch of power in the Islamic Republic. He's made every branch of power dependent on his personal authority. Hypothetically, if Khamenei were to be eliminated, that would inflict a major external shock to the foundations of the Islamic Republic, which could be consequential. But as far as Khamenei leaving Iran, I don't think that's what we're seeing right now. I don't see that as credible right now.
Kasra, let me ask you about the son of the last Shah, who's lived in exile for 48 years in the US, Reza Pahlavi. What role do you think he can play at this juncture?
Well, Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has played a very important role. We're seeing that his calls for mobilization in the past 2 days has resulted in millions taking to the streets. Protesters on the streets have been calling his name, have been calling pro-Pahlavi slogans. This is because, by the way, the Iranian people saw what they had before the 1979 Islamic Revolution, a socially liberal, economically thriving modern state, a secular state, the separation of religion and politics, a progressive state in terms of economics, in terms of modernity, in terms of being attached and integrated into the international community. They lost literally every single aspect of that through the Islamic Revolution. The Islamic Revolution, the Islamic Republic, is a brutal, totalitarian Islamist regime. It treats Iranians it detains Iranians, has caused so much bloodshed over the streets. So Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi has played a very important role in the protests so far. And as I said, he has a social constituency inside of Iran. That's significant.
Kasra, thank you for giving us your time. Really good to speak to you. Thank you. Kasra Aarabi, the director of the IRGC Research at United Against Nuclear Iran and former Iran lead at the Tony Blair Institute.